get the latest on that terrible plane crash. CBS News correspondent Hattie Kauffman is at the scene in Butte, Montana with more. Hattie, what can you tell us?
Good morning, Julie. It is so sad. This was supposed to be a spring break fun skiing getaway from California to Montana. It ended horribly when the plane crashed into this cemetery. You can see behind me these lights. That is the crash scene. And what is so sad is they almost made it. We are just short of the runway. Federal officials say the small plane crashed and burned as it attempted to land in Butte, Montana, killing all 14 on board, 7 adults and 7 children.
We confirmed that we do not have any survivors.
The Napa Valley Register reports that among the dead are Dr. Aaron Jacobson, a local eye surgeon, his wife, and their 3 young children. Witnesses say the single-engine turboprop was turning at a steep angle as it approached the airport, when it abruptly went into a nosedive and then plunged into a nearby cemetery.
My husband and I seen the plane, and he said, "It's going to crash." And I started to say, "No, it isn't." But I never got that out of my mouth because it went like this and then boom.
The Pilatus PC-12 took off Sunday morning from Redlands, California, near San Bernardino, and flew to Vacaville, then on to Oroville. In his flight plan, the pilot had listed Bozeman, Montana as the destination, but inexplicably headed to Butte. An amateur photographer is said to have captured this image of the plane landing at Redlands Airport on Saturday, just one day before it took off on its final journey. A team from the National Transportation Safety Board will begin investigating today, but they've got their work cut out for them. Apparently, there was no black box voice data recorder on board. What they do have, however, are witnesses on the ground who saw that. Maggie?
Yes, Hattie, and we're going to speak with one of them who's there with you. Joining us also is 14-year-old eyewitness Kenny Julik. Kenny, good morning.
Good morning.
Can you tell me where you were at the time of the crash and what you saw?
Well, I was in my yard about a half a mile from here with my dad and my brother. We were barbecuing, and I'm a plane fanatic, so I was watching it. At first, I thought it was a stunt plane because it was going up into high G turns and such, and all of a sudden, it went into a nosedive. I noticed the pilot trying to pull up, but he was extremely low to the ground, and he didn't pull up in time.
What were weather conditions like at the time?
Just cloudy.
Nothing unusual?
Not really.
So what was your instinct after you saw this plane go down and erupt into flames?
Well, what I thought was call 911.
And that's what you did?
Right.
Did you do anything else?
Yeah. I prayed for him.
Yeah. Tell me about the area where the plane crashed. I know it crashed into a cemetery. Is this surrounded by homes? Could it just have easily have crashed into a house?
Not really. The closest buildings to it are the airport buildings, a gas station, and a car dealership.
Is this something that happened, from what you could tell, all of a sudden, like everything was fine, then suddenly he lost control? Or was he struggling for a bit?
Well, what it looked like to me was he jerked the plane to the left too quickly and lost control of it, but that's just my guess.
How is the community doing right now? To have this happen in your town must be so scary, so disturbing.
Yeah, it is.
All right, Kenny. Go ahead.
Oh, no, that's fine.
All right, Kenny, thank you so much. Hattie, I know that you're there with Kenny. If I may just ask you, I know you flew over in a similar plane to the one that crashed. We understand it was configured for 12 people, and you asked the pilot about that because there were 14 people aboard this plane.
Right. There was a lot of uncertainty, a lot of rumor last night because somebody saw them stop in Oroville and said there were maybe a dozen kids. So there were estimates of 17 people. So at first everyone was trying to figure out how could they possibly have been in this little plane. Now we know that it is 14. That still is too many for this size of airplane, according to the pilot that I talked to last night. They can reconfigure the seats, but to hold a dozen at most. They're assuming that, or at least that pilot assumed that some of these kids were held on laps of adults.
All right, Hattie Kauffman, Kenny Julik, thank you both.
Okay.
Joining us now from Chattanooga, Tennessee is Jim Hall, former chairman of the National Transportation Safety Board. Jim, good morning to you.
Good morning.
From what you've heard from eyewitnesses and from what you know about this type of plane, where would you begin your investigation?
Well, the NTSB, of course, begins each and every investigation with the hope that the aircraft is equipped with a flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder, which will provide information and survive the horrendous type of fire that we saw in the video of this accident scene.
What do you think is the most likely culprit from what you've heard?
Well, it's certainly too early in the investigation to make that determination. This accident is very similar to one that occurred almost 4 years to this date in Pennsylvania, in which the probable cause was the pilot's failure to maintain airspeed, which resulted in a stall of the aircraft.
There were 14 people on board. This plane is certified to carry 12. Do you think it's a problem?
Well, I understand that it can be configured for larger numbers, and that's certainly something the board will look at. The latest I heard was there were 7 adults and 7 children on the aircraft, right. And it would, if it can be configured for that large a load, then legally, then that's obviously will be something the board will look at, as well as the weight and balance of the aircraft.
Jim Hall, former head of the NTSB, thank you for your time this morning.
You're welcome.